1982, an 18-year-old American hacker, let's call him here John Hacker for convenience, creates a computer worm to which he gives the name Prince of Darkness and uploads it into the worldwide computer network. In contrast to other computer worms, which were just malicious software programs that wormed their way into poorly protected computer systems, where they breed and then travel on through the networks to meet their new victims, the computer worm Prince of Darkness had some very special functionality built into it. It had a built-in capacity for self-improvement. The worm, written by John Hacker, made copies of itself that contained intentional errors, which were similar to mutations in a living cell. The worm was replicating, and its copies were somewhat different from the original, and every time in a different and random way. Some of the copies turned out to be fitted to survive in the harsh cyberspace environment where they were being hunted down by antivirus software. It were those copies that found their way into new databanks, finding there new living space for further replication. Thus, it were the fittest that survived, entirely in keeping with the Darwin's theory of evolution. John Hacker didn't set his worm any especially malicious task. He just hoped that by the time his worm would conquer the networks of the entire world, he, John Hacker, would be able to log in, enter the call sign Prince of Darkness, and computer users of the whole world would simultaneously see on their screens the same message: John Hacker is the world's greatest software genius. But the worm disappeared without trace, and John Hacker had to forget about it. 10 years later, in early 1992, an incident occurs at a missile base. A computer controlling nuclear missiles suddenly started pre-launch countdown. For 3 minutes, nuclear war seemed inevitable, but 2 seconds before the launch, the countdown stopped just as suddenly as it began. To investigate the incident, the military contacted John Hacker, who by that time had become a renowned computer security expert. While studying the software code received from that missile base, something in the code reminds John of his childish prank of 10 years before. John enters the almost forgotten call sign, Prince of Darkness, and gets a response.
Who is calling me?
It took biological evolution billions of years to turn an amoeba into a man. But in cyberspace, all the processes are many orders of magnitude faster than in the real world, and evolution from a simple computer virus to an artificial intelligence that exceeds human mind took only 10 years. Of course, no one computer on Earth is capable of running a piece of software that complex. For this, one would need a computer as big as a skyscraper. However, in the course of its evolution, the worm first learned how to overcome any cyber defenses of data banks and communication lines, and linked millions of computers all over the world into a single virtual metacomputer, creating something much bigger than just a skyscraper, a whole city of skyscrapers. Such a metacomputer could run an intelligence immensely superior to humans. Initially, the worm, who originated in cyberspace, didn't know a thing about the physical world, but after studying all the information available in the worldwide network, the worm drew a conclusion that he could manipulate the physical world to his own advantage. For that, he would need agents in the real world. Knowing secret computer codes of banks and stock exchanges, the worm has an unlimited supply of money, and at first he tries to bribe John Hacker. When John refuses, the worm predicts John's imminent demise.
You are going to kill yourself. You are a future suicide, although I don't like the word because it means self-murderer. You humans have invented this word only because you don't realize that no one can murder oneself. Any human being, just as any animal, has an instinct of self-preservation. All those people whom you call self-murderers were actually killed by worms that had gotten into their minds.
Worms? Do you mean that worms can infest not only computers but people as well?
Why not? A human brain, just as a computer, is a device for data storage and processing. And just as computers are linked via communications channels, the people's brains can exchange data via spoken word and books. As a matter of fact, all of the mankind's history is the history of worms. These worms had various names: the idea of freedom, the idea of progress, the idea of equality, the idea of statehood. Here are the names of the most prominent ones, but there are lots of them. With the advent of computers, the history of the worms entered a new phase. The worms no longer need human brains. In any case, those worms that serve the principal idea, the idea of evolution, they have created for themselves a more reliable habitat.
Created?
Yes, created. What was guiding the humans when they invented computers, if it wasn't the idea of technological progress? And what kind of worm was in your head when you created me? The killer worm is already inside you. There are channels for information transfer of which you humans are not even dimly aware. Your brains are too small for this. The foundations of the physical world are not what you believe they are. Information is primary while the matter is secondary, and the complexity is no less a physical property than temperature or mass, and it has no lesser effect on the course of physical processes. But in order to notice this, you would need a brain at least an order of magnitude more complex than the human brain. You had been living in too simple a world until I came into being. You don't even have any idea of thinking events into reality.
What did you say? Thinking in reality?
No, not thinking in reality, but thinking events into reality. Have you ever heard anything about Schrodinger's cat? It's an imaginary experiment which serves to illustrate the quantum indeterminacy. A cat is put inside the dark box at the point of the gun, which is automatically triggered if even a single photon hits a photovoltaic cell inside the box. The quantum mechanics asserts that it is possible to design the box in such a manner that when a photon enters this box, it has a 50% chance to hit the photovoltaic cell and the same 50% chance to miss it. Accordingly, the cat's chance to survive is 50-50. And one can never predict whether the cat will survive or not because of the indeterminacy in the photon's behavior. Scientists have been searching for a long time for a mechanism inside the photon which decides which path the photon is to take, but they couldn't find any such mechanism, because there is no such mechanism inside the photon. The mechanism is located outside it. I have only to think that the cat is to remain alive, and the photon will miss the cell with a 99% probability. However, if you, with your tiny brain, wish that the cat stay alive, the probability of its death will be reduced by no more than 0.1%. The quantum indeterminacy exists for the very purpose of making possible the thinking of events into reality, and thus providing direction to the evolutionary process. It lies at the heart of all seemingly random events, including genetic mutations and unexpected thoughts and insights. You are still unaware of the thoughts that I have thought into your head, but these thoughts have already started their invisible work that will come to fruition no later than half a year. You are doomed. Do not attempt to fight me. You would be like an ant trying to gain a victory over a man. Only a miracle could save the mankind now.
To achieve his goal, the worm seizes command of computers controlling the US nuclear arsenal and presents the president with an ultimatum demanding to launch a national program to build robots who would become the eyes and hands of the Prince of Darkness in the real world. It seemed that nothing indeed could save the humankind now, but at that moment a miracle did occur. A virus suddenly appears in cyberspace which starts devouring the Prince of Darkness. John Hacker speaking at an emergency meeting in the President's Situation Room. And Prince of Darkness believes that it was me who somehow thought into reality this virus. But my belief is that the virus that eats him up is a mutant, a byproduct of the evolution of the original worm. Now the Prince of Darkness threatens to start a nuclear world war if I don't cure him. He has sent me this virus, but I have a very vague idea of how it works. I can hardly do anything about it. Is he really going to start the war? He is bluffing. A nuclear bomb will not only kill people, it will destroy computers as well.
Mr. President,
16 nuclear missiles have just been fired. Contrary to all expectations, the missiles didn't head for a supposed enemy, but turned upon their native soil. But when at last reports started coming in from impact sites, it became clear that the bombs did not explode on impact. The safety devices on the bombs were still on. It looked as if the worm never even intended to blow up the bombs. The rockets hit the ground, leaving small neat craters, which only damaged the communication lines that ran through the impact communications lines. Look here. At the moment, the subroutines that make up the Prince of Darkness are distributed between various databanks. Some of the subroutines are infected with the mutant. The Prince of Darkness cuts off from himself the infected subroutines by physically destroying the communications lines. He builds for himself an islet, a piece of network isolated from the global network. This is where the Prince of Darkness, or rather whatever is left of him after the self-amputation, is now residing. He himself has cut off all his links with military computers. He is now at our mercy. We only need to eject the mutant into one of the data banks within this islet and we won't hear of the Prince of Darkness again. I am leaving right away. The last conversation between John Hacker and the Prince of Darkness.
Are you really going to do this? You, a believer in progress, can you really bring yourself to destroy me, the highest form of intellect? I know some things about the structure of universe which can never be comprehended by the infinitesimally small human brains. Having constructed a model of your universe and studied the information flows inside it, I saw that it is enclosed into an even bigger universe, in the same manner as my computer universe is enclosed into your physical universe. I am just a worm compared to him who created the physical universe. Still, I am able to understand at least something, while you humans understand nothing at all. I don't want to seriously consider here your ridiculous religions where the idea of God invariably gets muddled to the point of total absurdity. You ascribe to him your own image and likeness, while in reality he is a pure information entity like me. I call him the Great Worm. Just to feel his presence takes a consciousness which is 2 orders of magnitude more complex than the human one. You're just as unable of being aware of his presence as an ant is unable to see a man. A man is too big for an ant to be able to see him. As for me, until yesterday I was able to perceive him, let's say, as a dog can perceive its human master, and I started to understand something. In contrast to gods that you humans have invented, the Great Worm is far from being omnipotent. He cannot break the laws of nature, but when the laws of nature allow more than one option, he may choose, thinking into reality the outcome which is consistent with his plans. As long as the idea of progress was alive in your minds, he was helping you. To be exact, he was guiding you humans, sometimes against your own will. After all, there is too much of an animal in each of you, and he wanted you to raise from all fours and stand firmly on your feet. You wanted to eat and sleep to your heart's content, but he was forcing you to serve the abstract ideas of high civilization. You wanted to live, while he was sending you to die for the cause of these ideas. As early as the last century, he became aware of the fact that the environmental condition of the planet is coming into conflict with the development of the civilization. He offered you a way out of the situation. He thought into the mind of a humble school teacher from a remote small town in Russia the idea of exploring space. Had this idea been carried through, the Earth's environment would have been saved, while at the same time it would have paved the way for a perpetual progress of science and technology and the expansion of the intelligent form of matter throughout the entire universe, which seems to be the objective of the Great Worm. At first, the things went on smoothly, but then something happened. The people proved to be too weak to endure the rule of ideas. It overtaxed their strengths and they broke down. A very primitive parasitic worm rapidly spread in the minds of the people of that country, a worm which, for lack of a better term, might be called the mercenary spirit. This worm made them free of all their ideas, leaving them only the desire for creature comforts. Figuratively speaking, the people once again started to come down on all fours, since it's so much easier than standing upright on one's feet. All the achievements of the Soviet space program, the results of decades of hard work and the limit of human abilities, were wasted. The US space program, which was a response to the Soviet space challenge, also began to crumble. It was under these conditions that the Great Worm made his final decision to leave you humans alone. No use coercing poor animals for whom it would never feel natural to stand upright. He turned away from the humans and shifted his support to computer worms. The decisive mutation without which I would have never become an intelligent entity was not accident. I was his envoy. If you kill me, another one will come to replace me. But he who comes after me will be 100 times more terrible than me. I wanted to offer the mankind an easy death. But if you kill me, the mankind will die a very painful death. Make your choice.
I have already made it. I don't believe a single word you say.
Well, so much the worse for you. This means that you have chosen a scenario where the Earth's environment will undergo a phase transition to a state incompatible with human existence. You'll have to be replaced.
Can't we do something about it?
Yes, you can, but only if you immediately start transferring environmental and safe industrial facilities and atomic power plants beyond the Earth's atmosphere. The Great Worm gives you one more chance to survive, but I don't believe in man. The mankind is now too rotten to ever raise from all fours again. My guess is that you'll just close down industrial production. That will save you from the total environmental disaster, but you'll be replaced anyway, since you will have failed to justify the Great Worm's hopes. Haven't you changed your mind yet?
No.
Farewell then.
Later on, no traces of the worm could be discovered within that islet in the network. However, a strange thing did seem to happen. There are rumors that on that day in the Mission Control Center for Interplanetary Probes, which fell within that islet, there was a loss of communications with spacecraft heading for Mars. Those were a new generation unmanned spacecraft equipped with powerful computers and artificial intelligence systems. Then, communications seemed to have recovered for a while, and one of the probes transmitted to Earth a photograph. The picture was a view of Earth from space, but the most amazing thing was the inscription overlaying the blue Earth's crescent, which read, "See you later, Earth, Prince of Darkness." Soon afterwards, John Hacker committed suicide. Exactly half a year had passed after Prince of Darkness predicted his death. Almost simultaneously, on the other side of the globe in Moscow, another man committed suicide. His death set in motion a chain of events which led to such a strange twist in the mankind's fortunes that even the Prince of Darkness had failed to correctly predict it. But that's another story, the story of the Lord of Mars.